So earlier today, I talked about this simulator right here. This is actually the Pro Football Network simulator. It's kind of a questionable simulator. It's kind of accurate, sometimes it's kind of iffy. Okay, but whenever there is a simulator on the internet, I like to run it 50 to 100 times just to see, what it's saying, right? Kind of get a glimpse of a wide spectrum of what it's predicting for this upcoming season. So if I go ahead and pull this up, this is a bar chart, a bar graph here of every single record that it predicted us to have. The records it predicted was 10 and 7, 11 and 6, 12 and 5, 13 and 4, 14 and 3, 15 and 2, and 9 and 8 in the 50 simulations. Now, out of the 50 simulations, we started off with 9 and 8. 9 and 8 only happened 2 out of 50 times. Now, 9 and 8 is not a playoff season. That means that 2 of the 50 times I simulated it, it thought we were not going to be a playoff team by any stretch of the imagination. Again, with how good teams are nowadays, 10 and 7 is pushing it. Now, 10 and 7 was actually 6 times. Now, one of those 6 times, I know for a fact it did not have us in the playoffs. It actually had the Steelers and the Browns in the 6 and 7 seed in 10 and 7. And then it had, I think, 10 and 7 also for the 5th seed. So we actually got knocked out of the playoffs. So 3 out of the 50 times it had us not making the playoffs. 2 of those times being 9 and 8 records, 1 of those times being 10 and 7. Every other 10 and 7 record, which is 5 more times, had us making the playoffs. So in theory, again, 10-7 is kind of on the fringe of making the playoffs, not making the playoffs. So you always got to be careful with that. But overall wise, it had us making it 6 times at a 10 and 7 record. The most it had us making was 11 times. Tied for 11 times for the most was 11 and 6 or 12 and 5. So again, both of those are going to be playoff records. You're going to be able to make the playoffs. Both of those were not division though. 11 and 6, we were not winning the division at 11 and 6. 12 and 5, there was a good amount of times that we did win the division, but there was also a good amount of times we didn't win the division at 12 and 5. Again, with how good the AFC North is, it's very difficult to automatically assume, like 11 and 6 will win the division, right? But with how this network, Pro Football Network simulator works, I can actually see, the Bengals are 6th seed, right? The Bengals could be, 2nd seed, 13 and 4, and so on and so on. But usually with a 12 and 5 record, we were either 5th seed 11 and 6 record, we were either 5th seed or 6th seed in our most playoff simulations. Because the Ravens usually get a 13 and 4, 12 and 5, something like that. So it really comes down to random, just head-to-head matchups to see how it ends up shaking out. But again, 11 and 6 and 12 and 5, 11 times each. Then we had 13 and 4, which was 10 times, which is, again, where I think most logically we're going to finish is either 13 and 4 or 14 and 3. I think that's kind of the ballpark range of where I'm feeling comfortable saying the Bengals will do. I don't, in theory, think we're going to go 15 and 2, 16 and 1, and 17 and 0. I would love it, but I think right here is where I would say we're going to go. And surprisingly enough, 17 out of 50 times, it actually had us go with that exact one. And so percentage-wise, that's 34% of the simulations said we are going to be either 13 and 4 or 14 and 3. But overall wise, and then of course there was 3 simulations saying we're going to go 15 and 2, which again, very, very difficult here overall wise. But so what is this now? 2, 3. So 47 out of 50. 94% of simulations had us making the playoffs with a 6 percentile of us missing the playoffs this upcoming season. And keep in mind that Pro Football Network doesn't take in consideration injuries. So the simulation is based on a healthy Bengals schedule, a healthy Bengals team for the whole entire season. So I think the 6% is a little bit, I don't really agree with that in any way possible. I think that's very, very high. If I had to give us a percent chance to not make the playoffs, it would have to be based on Joe not being healthy and lasting the whole season. Because if Joe makes the whole season, I think there's a 0% chance that we don't make the playoffs. There's 0% chance. But if obviously anything happened, like injuries, then obviously, you can go on from there. But I highly, and again, I can't stress enough, highly doubt we would ever miss the playoffs. But I think 13-4, 14-3 is where I'm kind of seeing this team at. But just want to do a little, simulation thing here, 50 simulations, and this is the results we got. So tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace.